A little better. All right. It's 2021. There's still no one coming to save you. I realize a lot of my titles seem kind of dark, but I think they only seem dark because of the way that we've been trained. Because for some reason, for a long time, we've been trained that there's always somebody that will save you. And so to say otherwise seems a little, I don't know, depressing to some people. It shouldn't, though. It should be exciting. It should be a good thing because that means you get to save yourself. So, the holidays came and went, um, despite what we were told that Christmas was canceled, which is, it's funny. It'd be funnier to me if it wasn't so sad that people actually believed it. But, we had people, politicians, and people in the media, go on TV and in their feigned solemnity tell us that, they didn't want to do it this year, but they're going to have to cancel Christmas. And again, like, it's just really sad because people actually heard that and they're like, no, like, it's like little kids hearing that, it's snowing outside and they actually have to go to school. Like, oh, we thought we were going to get a snow day. We thought we were going to get a break, but I guess we got to go to school. And so a lot of people, this has been a horrible year for a lot of people. And, 2020, we're in 2021 now. Not like it makes any difference. It's totally arbitrary. But so a lot of people were looking forward to something. And then, Anthony Fauci or Mayor Garcetti or Andrew Cuomo, somebody goes on TV and they're like, Christmas is canceled. They did it in the UK too. And people were like, dang it. Okay, if you were one of those people, really evaluate how you're making decisions in your life. I'm not like trying to demean anyone. I know a lot of people are getting a lot of bad information, and so they're really afraid. Just reconsider that a man or multiple men or women or whoever, human beings, individuals went on TV and told you that Christmas was canceled as if they had the power to do it. So there's like there's a bunch of problems with that. But a few that I see right away are that the people that did this have been so put on pedestals for the past year that they think they have the power to do that. I think Anthony Fauci went on TV genuinely believing that he could cancel Christmas. So, people bought it because he, of course, he would never lie to them, right? That, even though he's done it consistently over 2020 and admitted it, and we know that, but whatever. So, whatever he says is the gospel. And so people canceled their plans and didn't see their families because this guy told them. And I feel like people were so convinced of this that I feel like there were probably people that were shocked on December 25th when they woke up and it didn't just skip from the 24th to the 26th. Like, oh my gosh, there actually is a Christmas. But, old Dr. Tony told us that it wasn't going to happen. And so people canceled plans. They didn't see their family. They didn't go anywhere. Meanwhile, all the people that were going on TV telling you that you couldn't go anywhere and you couldn't see your family, they, of course, all traveled. They all had Christmas plans. Kind of like the mayor from Austin, his was during Thanksgiving, but there were actually politicians again that made videos about how you shouldn't go anywhere while they were on vacation. I know a politician from North Carolina, I think Durham, North Carolina, made the news that, she told all of her people that they can't travel, but she was traveling out of the city, long distance to see her family. And so, again, it's rules for thee and not for me. But that only has power if you let it. If you listen to that and you say, okay, I'm going to make my decisions based on what these people are telling me, even though they don't believe it. They're not buying it. So again, people cancel these plans thinking, oh, I've seen this so much where people are like, I'm so tired of 2020. 2021 is going to be a whole new year. Well, it isn't. December 31st, essentially, like the starting of a new year, there's no reason that would be the new year. Really. I mean, if anything, you might would say like December 21st, because the winter solstice, there's actually something that happens there. It's the shortest day of the year, like anything like that. But December 31st is totally arbitrary. Like 2020 to 2021, nothing changes. It's not like all the people that have, held people down essentially in 2020 or all the stuff that's going on that it would just lift. Like it would check the calendar and be like, oh, we're done. Okay, like it's going to get better. And I think a lot of people maybe are having that realization now. And I don't know why. Like it's crazy that people would really think that something would change because of the date. You look on Facebook, social media, anything, all these people are kind of alluding to the fact that, oh, this is going to be a much better year. Well, it's not any different. It's the same things that you allow to continue will just continue. And that's why I say it's 2021 and there's still no one coming to save you. Because a lot of people are always waiting on this next thing. Like, oh, it'll be better in 2021. Oh, it'll be better in Trump's second term. It'll be better now because Biden was elected. It'll be better on and on and on and on and on. It'll be better now that we have a vaccine. Look, no one is coming to save you. If you are not doing anything different, if you continue on with your habits and how you've handled yourself all through 2020 and you thought it was a terrible year, it's not because of outside forces. Outside forces definitely play a factor. But if you aren't changing anything going into this year, and like I said, the year, it's arbitrary. It doesn't matter. But if you're not changing anything, don't expect anything to change. Because if what you expect is because it's 2021, that regulations are going to be lifted off of you, you're not going to have to wear a mask anymore. You're going to be able to open your business. You're going to be able to do all these things. You are kidding yourself. It's not going to happen. I mean, Joe Biden, from his imaginary office of the president-elect, I don't say that because whatever. I'm not going to pass judgment on the elections. All of it seems fishy to me. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. These politicians don't matter unless you let them matter to you. Like if you let them control your life, then yeah, it matters. But, he gets up on TV in front of this banner that says the office of the president-elect, which is not a real thing, by the way. That doesn't exist. I could put the same banner behind me. It would have the exact same authority. So he gets up there and says that the worst part of COVID is yet to come. All right? So we just went through a year of increased suicide rates, increased alcohol, all substance abuse, increased suicide rates in children. Essentially, some kids have missed an entire year of school. Now, I don't know if you know how bad kids backtrack just during the summer in 3 months, but it's incredible. So now we've taken a year from them. They'll never get it back. Rest assured, children that are in education now that missed all that time have been permanently hampered in their educational career. So we have that. We have bread lines now in America. A lot of people are not discussing that because they keep having to push this idea that the lockdowns are the best thing that we can do, even though it's been proven over and over and over. Tons of empirical data. Countries all over the world said this doesn't work. We've proved it here. I mean, we did the lockdowns. They didn't work. We're going to keep doing it. Because, nobody's ever heard of the definition of insanity in Washington. So, and apparently we haven't either because we keep doing the same thing, expecting them to do the right thing. And that is never going to happen. So we're going to keep going on with this. And they're saying, no, they don't. They don't do that at all. So anyway, we keep going on, and with all of this, 25% of adults right now in America are food insecure. Nobody's telling you that either. That means that 25% of American adults do not have enough food. That's crazy. That's a direct impact of all this lockdown nonsense and shutting down businesses when, you only have 3% of cases tracked back to a restaurant. But largest cities all over the country, people can't go out to eat. of course, if you're a restaurant that patronizes politicians and millionaires and billionaires, then you get to stay open. But whatever. So we have legitimate bread lines where people are starving and they're having to wait outside to get food from food banks. 25% of the population is going hungry, and the president-elect is saying that the worst is yet to come. If you keep putting your faith in these people to save you, they are not going to. You're going to be disappointed. So what I keep hearing from people is, they're having a hard time. They're not making a living because they can't. And can't is a pretty powerful word, and it's an important one. So people are saying can't when what they mean is won't. And I saw some of the saddest stuff over the holidays as far as people alienating their children because their kids may have been sick, or even their kids weren't sick and they would still alienate them because the newsman told them to. Let's see. How would less people interacting outside of the virus? Do you say it doesn't? Because countries that didn't lock down don't have bad results. Yeah, so immune system is pretty complex over millions of years. No, you're good. So the question was, how would less people interacting not slow down the virus? Do you say that because countries that didn't lock down don't have as bad results? Yeah, so again, the immune system is extremely complex. Millions of years of evolution have done it pretty well. There are definitely things that keeping distance makes sense. So there was just a study done in China with contributors from Australia and the UK. A lot of people don't trust anything coming out of China now. Don't really blame them. But when you have contributors from the UK and Australia that add in on it, they did a study of nearly 10 million patients, 9.8 million and some change. They came up with 300 cases that were asymptomatic. Of those asymptomatic patients, they had 0 cases of spread, and they tracked a little over 1,200 people that were connected to those 300 people. The point is, asymptomatic spread almost does not happen at all. This is something that we knew in 2019 for decades. We knew it, and then we all forgot it in 2019. Just like we knew for decades, there's published information. Anthony Fauci said at the beginning of this that healthy people don't wear masks. We've never done it. We don't quarantine healthy people. We started that in 2020. Unless you go back over 100 years now to the Spanish flu. That is not even comparable to this. People keep trying to make that, oh, well, they did it in 1918. Yeah, 50 million people died in 1918 from the flu, not COVID. And they're like, oh, well, they wore masks. Okay. What else were they doing in 1918? Do we want to go back and adopt all of their policies from 1918 because they were doing so well? We talk about how advanced we are. If a civilization that is still relying on 100-year-old technology of wearing a piece of cloth on your face, those are the same people making a vaccine, no thanks. So people can't get those things together. So well people don't spread illness. And being around other people ramps up your immune system. We all have a microbiome. We're all full of bacteria surrounded by it. We have to have it. If you don't have it, you will die. If you're not around other people where your microbiome is exposed to other microbiomes, yours weakens because your body is always trying to conserve energy. So if we're not around a lot of people, the immune system, your lymph system, all of that, it takes a lot of energy to run that thing. Well, if your body starts realizing that it's not being exposed to outside threats, it's going to down-regulate that system. So, if you're quarantined, if you're stuck in your house all the time, well, you don't really need that elevated immune system because you're not exposed to any threats. You're exposed to your environmental threats in the house, maybe dust. Maybe if you're like us, you have a dog that has some stuff that brings in, but it's not bringing in the real biodiversity that you're experiencing out in the open when you go outside. So what happens is you quarantine people and you downregulate their immune system, and then you tell them, well, you can all only go to the same place. You can all only go to the grocery store, which is still the case in some places where they have all these lockdowns. Well, it used to, people were going to all different places. They weren't all going to the same spot. There were people that never go to the grocery store because they don't cook. They went to restaurants. Well, now those people are at the grocery store too. So you take all these people where you've downregulated their immune system, you've put a cloth over their face where they can't breathe well. So that downregulates all of your response in your body because it's, it's a retraction of your O2 levels. So everything is downregulated, and then you put people into an environment with a ton of people. Normally, you'd be going to work, you'd be going to school, you'd be going to the gym, you'd be going here, you'd be going there. You're constantly being exposed to other microbiomes, and so your immune system regulates. It takes that stuff in, it stays high. Well, if you shut it down and then you throw people into environments with each other, it's no wonder people get sick. Now, on top of it, the crazy numbers we saw in the States is because you had people like Andrew Cuomo who took sick patients and put them in nursing homes. You wouldn't do that with anything. You wouldn't do that with the flu. You wouldn't do it with a common cold. Well, there you go. That's like 40% of your deaths, like right off the rip, because he did something that he knew would kill people. You cannot convince me otherwise. There's no way that an adult doesn't know that people that are elderly are vulnerable to some sort of disease, and then you put people who have the disease into those environments. That's insane. So yeah, those people were sick. They should have been quarantined. Jesus. Yeah, I get that a lot, actually. So, we put people in places that were sick, and then we're like, oh, why are they getting sick? Well, it's pretty obvious. So yeah, locking people down, sure. People who are sick should stay home. We've always known that. When you were a kid, if you had a fever, you needed to wait 24 hours to go to school. You didn't go to school. The kid didn't go home, and then the mom called the office and said, hey, my kid's sick. And then they sent the whole school home. That's never happened. Never. But now it does. It just happened in my nephew's school. No one is sick. They went to Christmas break and they're like, oh, there's elevated levels of COVID in the community, so we're not going back to school. What? That doesn't make sense, especially a population that is not really affected by this. So the whole lockdown thing, it's nonsense. The WHO has said it's nonsense, even though I don't believe a lot of what they have to say, but they have chimed in on this, and our government seems to take what they say into consideration, except when it doesn't fit what they want to do. If you really want to know why we're in lockdowns, look at the wealthiest people in this country, how much money they've made this year. That's all you got to look at. And look at how many small businesses shut down. Jeff Bezos made $68 billion this year in personal wealth, while 60% of small businesses closed and 25% of people are going hungry in this country. And we have bread lines in the United States. Bread lines. And he made $68 billion. Look at how much Walmart stock went up. All of these big businesses that somehow were allowed to stay open while local businesses were forced to close. It's not rocket. Look at what happened with the elections. We went nuts. We lost all of everything we knew, the stuff we knew before this, that doing an election this way would make us more likely to voter fraud. Whatever, do it. They were changing laws on November 1st for an election on November 3rd. That happened in Philadelphia. And the judges changed the laws. They're not even allowed to do that. They're not legislators. They're judiciary. And they literally change laws. It's not the way it works. Yeah, small businesses were sacrificed to the great economy. Well, there was no great, it's not. Like, the small businesses were the economy, and we destroyed them. So, it would be different if, here's the deal right now. You have people that, Mars is now, all right. Thanks for the follow, bud. So anyway, you have people right now who have essentially lost their business or are losing their business. And you think when we had real calamity in the country, so like you had something like 1918, you had World War I, you had World War II, you had Vietnam, Korean War, all these things where big things happened and it really affected families. Well, it affected families for the most part. You can imagine the single mom at home with 2 kids panicked because now they don't have income. But she's panicked because they don't have income because her husband died in the war, right? So that happened a lot. So we knew that. It happened with the endless war we're in right now, 19 years, nearly 20. Well, now we're going on 20 years. of this war, where sons are fighting the same wars their dad fought in. The thing that kicked the whole thing off, they weren't even alive. We're still doing that, by the way. So we knew that, these people were they were in these hard situations because someone actually died. Well, now we have mothers at home with their husbands sitting next to them and their 2 kids who are going hungry, and they have a business and they have customers that want to come to that business, and they're not allowed to. What? And so now they have to go down to the bread line, which is real now. Like, that's what we think of, like Soviet Russia. People are like, oh, well, anytime people talk about socialism, they're like, enjoy the bread lines. They are here. They're here. 25% of American adults right now are food insecure. 25%. That's like 80 million people. Food insecure. Not because the father died at war, not because the building got blown up, but because the government won't let them make money for a disease that statistically can't kill that guy. Can't. You talk about a 40-year-old man who has probably statistically a 37-year-old wife and 2 kids. They're going to be fine unless they're not allowed to do business and they get screwed. And so now this whole thing, where people were like, we can't open our business. Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean can't? You can't or you won't? And so now people are standing up because, hey, if you get hungry, you'll do just about anything. So these people have businesses are now going, I'm not shutting the doors. And the health inspector comes by and goes, you can't be open. Watch me. What are you going to do? That's where we're at. That's it. Can't or won't. Because nobody's coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. So a lot of people are going to have to go from being can't people to won't be. Like, you got to go the other way. You got to start pushing back. Because when the president-elect, again, the office of the president-elect, not a real thing. He just went to Kinko's and had that thing behind him printed. Says that the worst is yet to come. Well, for most people, it can't get worse. It can't. For the people that killed themselves this year, can't get worse. For their families, it can't get worse. For the people that went homeless this year, that could have made a living. Their family's not hungry because, like I said, the provider dropped dead. It's because he's not allowed to work or she's not allowed to work. Let's see. What do you think about stimulus checks? Just more money going to the Amazon and big businesses. The companies that need it most are closed. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the stimulus checks, most of which being that the very vast majority of it does not go to Americans, which is insane. It's our money. So on top of that, yes. Stimulus checks are not enough for most people. Money has been negatively impacted for 9 months now. It's a Band-Aid on a severed limb. It's not even a Band-Aid, dude. It's like the government coming up and like not even kissing the boo-boo. They're like, and touching it because you're too filthy for them to put your mouth on. And it's not like a severed limb. It's like they cut your head off. So $600, it's a joke. I saw Kevin Sorbo, who's an actor. Oh, dude, what do you mean? It's not supposed to help people. It's supposed to stimulate the economy. What is the economy? The American economy is 70% based on consumer spending. Like, people aren't going to go out and spend that money. This isn't 2008, dude. Like, people are hungry. They're not going to take that and go buy a TV. Like, they're drowning right now. Drowning. They're dead. Like, they're trying to make negotiations with the power company not to cut them off. Like, people are going homeless. So the people are the ones driving the economy. Like, it has to help. You can't extract those two things. Like, the people are the economy. And it's definitely meant to help the economy. But when you're sending like $700 billion all over the country and we get like $200 billion here and they give you this $600 check, it's a joke. I don't know if that is what it is, man. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to. I think what you have is you have a lot of people making legislation that don't know anything about the people they reign over. Like, they don't understand. Look back at the beginning of this, man. Look back when Nancy Pelosi when they're all doing, we're all in this together. And she is like giving a tour of her $10,000 refrigerator full of like $7 a pint ice cream. And people are like, I just want to go to work. And she's like, oh, we're all in this together. No, you're worth like $93 million. Stop. And so it's kind of like, it's a very let them eat cake mentality. Like, here's $600. I know we didn't let you work for a year. Here's $600. Like, how much that buys? Like, what is that, a house? Can you get a house at $600? How much do kids eat? That's good, right? It's been 11 months, $600. Keep it, man. Keep it, because it's insulting. That's like going to dinner and having a $100 tab and you tip the waiter $1. Don't give him anything, because then at least the waiter can think, maybe he just forgot. Maybe he's not a total piece of shit. We just got the dollar tip, is what just happened. That's $600. That's the dollar tip on a $100 tab. These people don't care about you, just by the way. When they go out and they make all these mandates and they don't follow a damn one of them, they're not scared of this, man. Trust me. $600 isn't supposed to help individuals, it's supposed to keep business open. I could be wrong. It was supposed to help with rent and food. They would do it another way. No, man. Why are they giving $600 per kid then? It's not about businesses. That's what the PPE loans were. You get $600 per child. This is supposed to keep you afloat. It's not about keeping business open. Why would it be? They won't allow the businesses to open. Why do they call it stimulus? Why did they call it the Patriot Act? Why do they call any of these things what they call them that, man? It's nonsense words. The Patriot Act is the most unpatriotic thing that this country has probably ever done. Dude, if they sign a bill into law that's like the Rainbows and Puppies bill, stay away from it. It doesn't matter what they call it. Why do they call this shit like the CARES Act and the HEROES Act? Dude, it's programming. Like, look how great we're doing for you. Here's what happened. They took $2,700 for you to give you a $600 check back. $900 billion. If you divide that by every individual in the country, that's $2,700 a person. And then some people will get a $600 check back. So they can send money all over the world for shit you don't care about. While people are hungry. Yeah, dude, stimulate, it doesn't matter. They can call it whatever they want. They can call it the magic fairy check if they want, because they might as well, because it's money. It's just made of nothing. And if you really want to understand why they're doing a lot of this stuff, you need to understand the Federal Reserve. This is how money is made. And I don't mean how money is gained. I'm talking about how money is created. You write bills like this and then you just print it into existence. We spent like $6 trillion this year. What? So like, to keep thinking that these people are going to save you, like they're here to help, is crazy. And like I said, people did it with politicians. They did it with Joe Biden. They did it with Trump. They did it with Bill Barr. They did it with John Durham. They did it with Jeff Sessions. They did it with everybody. None of it panned out. Go further back. They did it with Obama. Hope and change. What did we get for that? More debt, more war. No, they're not coming to save you. So yeah, $600 is a joke. It was supposed to help people. Obviously that's why there's so much debate about it, and it got pushed back, and they're like, it needs to be 2,000. Whatever, even 2,000 wouldn't be enough. Like, you can't make up for what you've stolen from people by just giving them a check. It's not okay. Like, if I burn your house down and give you $100, we're not even. So, whatever. The important thing now is we have to start taking some responsibility for ourselves. That's the only way to get past this stuff. Start taking responsibility for yourselves, and stop counting on somebody else to do something right for you, and stop letting these people control you with nonsense. Nonsense. Like, you can't open your business. Watch me. And it's happened all over the country. Like, people have pushed back. I'm like, no, we're not doing this anymore, because they're desperate. And I tell you what, if they keep going on, they're like, the darkest is yet to come. We ain't seen desperation yet. And I've seen what desperation, I mean, look at an injured animal. We're getting a country full of injured animals right now. And then on top of it, they're getting insult to injury. Like that check, that's just insulting. So I'm telling you, desperation will can make people do some nasty stuff. And so I think it's coming. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but when people start waking up to this, and it's amazing to me that people haven't already. You know, when you do, like I said, you have the people, the mayor of Austin telling everybody they need to stay home for Thanksgiving, and he recorded that video from Cabo San Lucas after he left a wedding, which you're like not allowed to have now. He left I think it was his daughter's wedding with 20 people. Dude, they don't even believe this stuff. They're not concerned at all about getting sick. So there's an agenda, obviously. And they'll just keep marching down this road until we stop them. And I'm not talking about like war. I'm talking about just saying no. No, I'm not doing that. You know, I'm not closing my business. I'm not doing all these things. I'm not canceling Christmas, whatever that means. That was one of the ones that blew me away the most. Christmas is canceled. According to who? You don't have the power to do that. And so if you were one of the people that were in that camp, they're like, yep, it's canceled. Sorry. You called up your family and you're like, you can't come over because Tony said Christmas is canceled. Well, I mean, the big part of me wants to say shame on you, but I get it with some people. If you're getting all of your information from the mainstream media, then you probably have been scared into some sort of submission. But it's time to start pushing back, because this stuff, none of it makes sense. None of these things exist in the same place. They don't line up. So we got to start doing something different, because it's just going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Like I said, Joe Biden's already told you it's going to get worse. So we can't keep on this way. And I really think self-responsibility it's the answer. You know, you can't change things that you don't take responsibility for. And so, like I said, if 2020 sucked for you, don't think that 2021, because the date change, is going to be any different. You're going to have to start doing something different. We got to adapt, or you're either going to have to, yeah, but it wasn't canceled. Like, that doesn't mean it's canceled. It means you were sick on Christmas. Like, to go on TV and say Christmas is canceled is insane. That's crazy. Yeah, you got sick. That sucks. I've been sick on Christmas before. I got something right before Thanksgiving. I either got the flu or whatever, COVID, whatever, probably flu. But I had all the symptoms of COVID, which are the same ones for the flu, because, you know, everything is a symptom of COVID now. Yeah, my girlfriend and I have both been very sick this year. And it's not like we called people up and we're like, it's canceled. It just didn't happen. So people are like, and there's a lot of people that canceled their plans because the man on the TV told them to, even though they weren't sick. And it's just sad, like, how quickly the programming has changed, where people used to, if you had a child that was sick, you like rallied around them and you took care of them. And parents would just consign themselves to the fact that they were going to get sick too. Like, fine, I'm going to have the flu because my kid has the flu and I love them because they're my blood and I would die for them. And so if I get the flu and I'm throwing up or I feel like shit for 10 days, then that's just what's going to happen. Well, now I see people referring to children as super spreaders, and wanting to quarantine them. And that only took like 9 months to reprogram people. Like your blood, to turn on your blood and look at children not as a miracle, not as the future, not as innocents to be protected, but super spreaders. That's sick. That's sick. That's a real insidious virus right there. And the destruction of family is just like insane. And it's been so on display. And so these same people that are trying to get you to turn on your children, if you think they're going to save you, you're crazy. It's like they clearly want your destruction. And if they can get you to turn on your kids, what can't they get you to do? You know, I saw this stuff. People were like, oh, well, we're just not going to be able to do it this year. You know, we'll extend our plans to next year for Christmas. According to who? You could be dead tomorrow. You might not make it to tomorrow. And so people have this weird vision where they're like, oh, well, we'll just throw away an entire year. We'll do it all in 2021. No, you won't. If you wouldn't do it then, you won't do it now. Why? Nothing has changed. And this is what I tell people. If you turn the TV off and just walked around, how scared would you be? If you got away from social media, if you turned off the news, would you be afraid of people? Would you look at somebody twice if they weren't wearing a mask? Would you give somebody a weird look if they were wearing a mask? Because we did that only a year ago. How much of this stuff is because of your experience and how much of it is because of what you've been told? And that goes for everything in the media. I mean, that goes with division amongst people, as far as race, especially. God, they've done a great job of that. Making people hate each other that never met each other. They do it all the time. So if this wasn't going on, would you be afraid? If the news wasn't the way it is, and if social media wasn't the way it is, because in 1918, or during something like the Black Death, when like a third of the world died, you knew there were dead bodies everywhere. People were like, during the plague, people were bleeding out of like their eyes and ears. They were covered in bubonic plague. They were covered in like these huge pustules. Everywhere you went stunk of death. You know, chances are most of your family would die. That was the reality. They were walking wagons down the middle of the street every day, ringing a bell saying, bring out your dead. So you go pile bodies on this thing and they take it out of the city and burn it. You didn't need the news to tell you. You knew it was everywhere. Well, now people are addicted to watching just horror on TV. And then when you walk outside, it's not there. That's why I say, if you turn all this crap off, and they know you won't. They know the vast majority won't. People are addicted to this. If you watch how much TV people are watching today, they've got their hooks in you pretty good. And they know it. So they can manufacture anything like this just through TV. I walk around, I'm not scared of these people out here. I have no reason to be. I'm 30. I'm healthy. I take care of myself. Not a lot of people do. Statistically, about 18% of the people in this country are metabolically healthy. And that's part of this whole inverted world where everybody says, now you need to do things to keep me from getting sick, as they smoke a cigarette or eat another Big Mac. Why? You don't care about you. Why should I care about you? Eat a vegetable. No, I'm not going to. Just wear your mask. No. Go sit in the sun. Statistically, vitamin D helps keep you from getting sick. But it's the same mentality. Somebody will save me. Nobody's talking about diet, exercise, supplements, etc. The things that will reduce the amount of comorbidities. Exactly. And when they do, well, you know what? I don't 100% agree with that. People do talk about it, and when they do, they're deplatformed. And the stuff that they talk about is removed from the internet. Because we had doctors for a while that were like, hey, here is what you can do. And their videos and stuff were subsequently removed. And then the people on TV with history degrees and law degrees and political science degrees came on and said, we believe the science. We believe the experts. Okay, well, that dude that's telling you to eat zinc and get vitamin D has MD behind his name. Why are we taking his information down? Oh, well, because we believe the science. No, you don't. You believe the narrative. And so, yeah, people need to go out there and talk about that. Like, the funniest shit to me is when I watch people go outside and take a mask off and smoke a cigarette. What? You can tell people are just totally programmed. It doesn't have anything to do with reality. It doesn't have anything to do with the real threat. 480,000 people die every year from tobacco use. And I know what you always get. People go, oh, well, they make that decision themselves and masks is about protecting other people. Okay, 40,000 of that 480,000 die of secondhand smoke. What does the government do? Are they banning cigarettes? Hell no. They tax them. They can't figure out, well, they have figured out how to tax this now, the vaccine. And of course, with, the redistribution of wealth that's gone on. But, they're not worried about people's health. They put poison in your water. Fluoride's fucking poison. That demonstrated over and over and over and over and over. And people were like, oh, they want us to have white teeth. What? How many people in this country are dying of cavities? None. How many people are dying of heart disease? Shitloads. Cancer. All of these things that they could potentially be doing research on. And people are like, oh, well, they care about us. They don't care about you. They spray glyphosate on your food. Which, by the way, I'm not going to say that this is the reason it happens, that this is the cause for autism, but I can tell you that the correlation between the increase of levels of glyphosate, which is made by Monsanto, Roundup, the increases of that in your food over the years, and the increases of autism, the correlation is almost 1, which if you're not, correlation is coefficient 0 to 1. The closer you get to 1, it's almost perfect. If you line those two charts up, increase of autism and increase of glyphosate, they match almost perfectly. I can't say that that's what's causing it, but it seems a little fishy, especially when Roundup, the people, that's full of glyphosate. Monsanto, same people. When they settle with a guy for $93 million, when his job was to work with Roundup, glyphosate, which #1 chemical sprayed on your food, by the way, they settled with him for $93 million in court, and the guy sat in court looking just like hideously disfigured. Not to talk shit about him, but he had like stuff growing out of him. He had so many different types of cancer. And they settled, which means they know that their stuff caused it. They didn't settle for $5,000. It wasn't like go away. $93 million. Multiple types of terminal cancer from using their products. And it is all over your food. All over. So that's the guy that was just nominated for head of agricultural department. So like if we keep pretending that at some point to keep pretending that these people care about you is just sticking your head in the dirt, or you're totally uninformed. And I think that's a good reality too. But at some point, I can't keep excusing it because the information is so readily available. Just go look. It's there. Anybody willing to look. All of this stuff is so easy to figure out. But that reality is too scary for people. If they realize that a guy is just nominated to the federal government who has like a concerted effort or a really good reason to poison me for money. That's dark. And I won't get into some of the darker stuff that this country has done to its people. I shouldn't say that. Not this country, this country's government. And I consciously work on that, telling myself that America is not its government. America is its people, it's its land, it's its resources. This is a beautiful place, home to a lot of beautiful, intelligent, great people. Its government is a cancer that is growing out of it. So, I struggle with that at times, separating those two ideas. America is not its government. And its government has done some horrible things to a lot of people. Just ask the guys in Tuskegee. If you get on the whole vaccine route when people talk about, oh, well, they wouldn't do anything to harm us. Well, they gave like 40,000 men syphilis on purpose in Tuskegee. And then they lecture us about race relations. So, yeah, these people, they're not going to save you. That's the whole point here. And the only thing that you can do is take responsibility. And I think the best way to do that, it's really easy for them to manipulate people now because we're also spread out. We are disconnected from each other. We don't have the type of connection that we should have, that we're meant to have. We don't know our neighbors. And so it makes it really easy for people to feel isolated, and they look for information that is not sound. And I think the way to get past that is, going back to your community, going back to your neighbors, staying with your family. Don't let these people separate you from your family. It's happening. It's happening at an alarming rate. It's so sad to me to watch it. I didn't think they'd be able to do it this easily. But those are the people that will save you. And like I said, nobody's going to pull you out of the hole you've dug for yourself. You've got to do that. But that's your support system. Your family, your friends, those are the people that when, on your darkest day, that'll be there. Because I guarantee you this, if you're having a hard time, if you want to see how much that government cares about you, call up your local representative and tell them you're having a really hard time and see what they say. See if they care. Some of you might be surprised to realize that they don't even know your name. Some people get so emotionally invested in these people and forget that they don't know you exist. At most, you're a tax ID number to them. So, again, I can't say it enough. Self-responsibility. This world now, or our world, this first world, Western world, whatever you want to call it, has convinced people that they don't have to be responsible for anything. If I get sick, there's a pill. If I get in trouble, there's somebody to sue. If I can't succeed, it's because someone's held me down. There's never any, people don't look inward. They don't go, what did I do to get myself here? How can I improve? What have I done wrong? And all of this is just pushed by the system at large. Well, if you couldn't get there, it's because you were this or that. It's because you were this color, you're this race. It's because you're this gender, blah, 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 on and on. It's never you. Couldn't be, right? It's constant victim mentality. Never take responsibility. Because if they can get you to believe that, you're so easily controlled. So easily controlled. And you'll never stand up for yourself. If you can keep in the whole victim mentality that, no, I won't be saved until someone saves me, and nothing that's going on here is my fault, then you'll never succeed. Ever. If your government really cared about you, they would tell you to shut that idea down. We used to know that. The only way to move forward is to take responsibility. Because if something is somebody else's fault, can you control everybody else? No. You can't control anybody but you. So if you keep giving everybody else the power, like think how crazy that is. Like I couldn't succeed because someone else wouldn't let me. What are you talking about? That doesn't make sense. And that's been pushed on every line. It's because of my sexual preference. It's because of my gender. It's because of my color. It's because of my age. It's because of where I grew up. It's because of where I was born. It's just on and on and on. Maybe you aren't that great. Maybe you have some work to do. Could that be it? When's the last time you heard somebody say that? When's the last time you heard somebody that didn't get a job, didn't get into school, didn't succeed at something, and just said like, damn, I didn't prepare enough. I didn't interview well. I didn't study enough. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. It's rare now. Most people are like, oh, well, they just didn't like me because of that. Nah, man, let that go. And you know what? If that is the case, maybe it is rare. It's rare. that people just don't like you. That's why you didn't get the job. And maybe if they don't like you, maybe you're an asshole. Maybe it's not their fault. You might just be a dick. You might not be a likable person. But to keep handing them that power, here you go. I have no power to make myself better. It's all yours. Here's all the control. Here you go. You can do whatever you want. That is crazy town. And so that's like the whole thing with, like he was saying with the virus. Nobody's like, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to go exercise. I'm going to go stand. And I can't say nobody. It's not true. There are people that are doing that. But at large, everybody wants somebody else to take care of them. Well, you have to wear a mask to keep me safe. Well, logically, that doesn't even make sense. Like, that's so silly. It can't work one way and not the other. It's just so dumb. And the people, like, again, this was something we knew not long ago, and people have just forgotten it. And then they just flood like all of your search engine results of misinformation. But if you go deep, further into page, I don't use Google at all, but if you go on DuckDuckSwim or DuckDuckGo and go like deep into the pages, you might find some stuff from 2019 that'll tell you like that's all nonsense. And so it's always transferring responsibility, and it's a clever little trick because then people don't have like they did it all to destroy the argument of people that are like, I don't care. I'll get sick. I'll be fine. Like, I'm healthy. So, I mean, all of it's very calculated, but it all comes down to the fact that people won't take responsibility for themselves. And they know at large, people have gotten such in the place of blaming everything on everybody else. And we're going to talk about that another day, how people have just constantly degraded themselves and how they've pretty much been instructed to do so. How people have just reduced themselves to skin color and genitals, which is sad, but it's happened. So, I don't know. I would too, if you're still in the camp of like, these people are smart and we need to listen to them, and they're definitely not doing all of this just to pander to us or, virtue signal, then I'd really encourage you to go watch. This just came out. Emmanuel Cleaver's closing of the, maybe it was the opening. He did a prayer for the 117th Congress. This man supposedly, and he may be, I don't say supposedly as in like, maybe he's lying. I just haven't looked it up. From what I read, he was a Methodist pastor for 37 years. He closed his prayer by saying he was praying to the monotheistic God, Brahma, and the God of all, like God of many names from all different faiths, which is like a super weird way to close a prayer anyway. But at the end, he says, Amen and a woman. You can't watch that and not realize these people are totally full of shit. Amen and a woman. Like, what crazy pandering virtue signaling is that? Amen. Men in that word has nothing to do with man. Amen means let it be true or to verify or truly. It doesn't mean a man. And this guy knows that. If he was a pastor for 37 years, he knows that. And he ends it with amen and a woman. 37 years as pastor, preaching. And closing as praying to the monotheistic God, Brahma. Dude, if he'll turn on 37 years of learning or whatever, if he'll turn on all that to signal to you that he's woke, what won't they do? Because that's pretty clear, like, in my opinion, that's like pretty clear blasphemy. Whatever you think about religion or not. Like, he's not a Christian if he does that. And not everybody has to be Christian. But if he purports to be Christian and then talks about praying to the monotheistic God, Brahma, and gods of all other faith, well, you're kind of shitting on the first commandment. So, I mean, these people will abandon like a life's work just to signal to you that they are woke or whatever. They kowtow to whatever, whatever comes along, whatever keeps them in power. So what would they not do? Why do we keep looking at them thinking, oh, they're going to do what's right for us? They don't even do what's right for themselves because they don't understand what's right. They don't understand right and wrong. They see power and money. Love of money is the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. Love of money is the root of all evil. And then you look at these people that are coming out of political positions like well and rich, like crazy, crazy wealthy. What are they trading for that? Might be you. Might be your values that they're trading for that. Might be your vote. Might be your tax dollars. So keep that stuff in mind. These people are not here to save you. They're not here to help you. If they were, they wouldn't do this like crazy $600 check nonsense and give billions of dollars to people all over the world that don't need it. They're doing it like study salmon or carp in the United States and, billion or millions of dollars to like Pakistan for gender studies, something that's been so detrimental in this country. So just think about it. Remember, 2021, that's arbitrary. Don't think that it's, a new date because we passed an arbitrary date that for some reason things will change unless you change them. So, I think there's probably some interesting things coming this week with election stuff. Like if you care about that, I care about it less and less because you realize that it's all just a joke. Not a very funny one, but it's all nonsense. So, I don't know. We might talk about that some. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to get too invested in it, but, it's kind of like watching a reality show. So, we'll see what happens. Anyway, I appreciate you all for being here and, all of you that interacted. We definitely had some good points. I really like being able to have a discussion with people. It definitely got me fired up in the beginning. If you're watching this recorded and you weren't part of this, come follow me on Twitch. Be a part of the conversation. Brooks C. Brown, twitch.tv/Brooks C. Brown. And, if you're watching this on YouTube, then like, comment, subscribe, whatever. If you want to stay in touch with what we're doing, or if you have a point that wasn't made here, or if you think I'm wrong, let me know. It'll give me something to talk about the next time we do this. So, I appreciate y'all being here and look forward to talking to you again soon.